There are 4 numbers that are quietly killing your agency. And if you ignore them long enough, they will cap your growth, drain your profit, even decrease the valuation of your agency. And what's even worse, they'll keep you as the owner trapped inside your agency without any options. Now, I've spent almost 15 years building agencies, and I've watched the same pattern play over and over again, constantly chasing revenue. And these numbers reveal whether this business is actually getting stronger, not just financially, but are they a better business? We're talking top 1% of agencies. In this video, I'll show you those 4 numbers, why they matter, and exactly what you need to do to improve them. I've been at this agency game long enough to know that everybody is out there grinding in some way or another on building their agency. And there are really 2 types. There's the agency owners who are grinding, and there are other agency owners that have time on their hands, or more time on their hands, because they've been able to build something that is managed by other people. Those 2 types really fall into 3 classes. You've got the contender. These are serious, ambitious owners. They've built a real business, maybe around $1 million, often around that. They say to themselves, and they say to everybody else, hey, we want to grow past 2 million. But the owner is still central in everything they do. They don't really have a roadmap, although they're searching for things, peer groups and coaches, and like, what is the next thing I should be doing? The growth is real, but cash flow and consistency and leadership depth and kind of their options to do what they need to with their agency in terms of their wealth are limited and not fully fleshed out. They really need some strong guidance on preparation and clarity. The hidden gem is a healthy business, good profits, solid systems, and credible track record, but the founder gravity still limits the value. In other words, the founder is still in there. They often hit a ceiling around 1.7 million of revenue. They haven't, like, I want to be aggressive. I want to grow past 3 million. I think we've really got something here. The dependency on the owner is still live and well. So even though the owner may have gotten some of their time back, they really need the owner to take the cap off. So the owner tends to be the blocker, and they run into leadership issues, making sure they understand how to invest in leaders and what those leaders should be responsible for and accountable to, and let the leaders lead, tends to be an issue. The player has a strong agency, healthy cash flow, better systems, and that agency owner has more freedom, more time on their hands. However, what happens in this stage is when they have some of that time, they start wanting to have a better game and wondering, wow, I've done it. I've reached the mountaintop. What do I do next? They're looking for their options. They wonder, should I sell? They wonder, should I buy? Should I merge with a company? Like, what's their ambition look like? Now, a lot of agency owners, when they get in that phase, it's like we all get in a phase where we coast. Hey, I've got it figured out. I've got this game figured out. And it all depends on what you want, but that's really where you have to start thinking about, what do you want? What is my purpose? I built something that's running, that's working well. Am I, devoting time to other efforts? I now get to spend time with family, more time with family, so there's some things. So you've got 2 types of people, agency owners, those that are in the grind day-to-day building still, and maybe aren't clear on their vision, or some are really clear on their vision, but they're still building towards it. The second type is the person that's found a little freedom of time. They've got their business running, but they're still in it. In other words, they still pay attention to it, and they're wondering, what are my options now? They're a little scared of what that time has gotten them, but they're kind of coasting. Those 2 types of agency owners there's 3 classifications of agencies: a contender, a hidden gem, and a player. Now, what's the reason I bring this up? The reason I bring this up is because you have to understand the identity of the agency owner, who sits behind those agencies, and you have to understand what you're dealing with. Are you in the grind? Where are you at in the grind? Do you have a 3-year plan and a 3-year vision? What's behind that 3-year vision? And one of the things that we've done is we've created a scorecard. We've boiled it down to 4 numbers, and it really analyzes how strong the agency is, how it's financially performing, how owner dependent is it, and what's its likely valuation given all those factors, and it's boiled it down into 4 scores. And that's what our diagnostic is about, is how are you scored right now? And what is your baseline? And then are the things you're doing increasing your score? So we have evidence-based, in other words, data we can gather from your agency. And we have, I would call it, owner submitted data. So not only do we have the scores, but we have a confidence level in each of those scores. The more data we have, the clearer the data is based on the frameworks we've built. These frameworks have been built over the last 12, 13 years, running multiple agencies and working also with groups like 7-Figure Agency or Agency Mastery, and to really understand the scoreboard. Because at the end of the day, keeping and having a simple scoreboard to know if your agency is getting stronger, if it's financially performing better, and if it's less owner dependent, those all impact valuation. Because at the end of the day, your valuation as an owner of an agency gives you the options that you're looking for. And you're either grinding to get to that point, or you've gotten to a place where you now have options, but you don't know what to do. So let's give you a score. Let's see how your agency scores on these 3 fronts. I'll be putting more videos out like this to talk more about each of those indices that we score and those departments in your business. But this is really a conversation for business owners who think strategically and have a vision of their future, or at least they have a picture that they've painted for themselves. What do they want with their agency? This is where we got to separate the agency owner from the agency. That agency is an asset that you should be looking at and scoring how it performs. All right, I hope this was helpful, and would love to run a diagnostic on your agency if you ever want to. It's something simple. We can do it fairly easily, but hope this was helpful, and we'll talk to you next time.